how do I start reading Gurbani, and we had a question on how do you get more familiar with Gurbani. I'll give you a piece of advice that is a practice that I used for many years when I was first starting to learn Gurbani. One of the things that I did to first start becoming familiar with the language and the words and to be able to read fluently was there was a group of friends that would get together once a month, and we would sit in a circle in somebody's house and we would read Sukhmani Sahib together. And right at the beginning, I wasn't familiar with Sukhmani Sahib. I wasn't even that familiar with reading Gurbani, and I must have been in my very early 20s, and every week or every month that I would go to that session, I would become more and more familiar because I'm listening to the same one time and time again. So one thing that really worked for me, learning my Japji Sahib, learning Rehra Sahib, was when I first started, I would listen, I would have the audio playing, and I would read the Romanized versions. And what that allowed me to do was not just struggle and try and read the Bani and make up the sounds myself, but I was listening, what is the right way to pronounce it? And then I would try and pronounce it. And the more repetition that you can do, if you can listen to Japji Sahib every day with the words in front of you, whether it's Romanized or whether it's in the Gurmukhi, if you're able to read the Gurmukhi is fine. I started with the Romanized and slowly moved on to the Gurmukhi actually after a few years. But I was able to memorize Gurbani very quickly because I was listening to it, and I found the combination of listening and reading to be very helpful. Then I would go to these monthly Sukhmani Sahib group sessions where I was listening to how to do it, and then you were given the opportunity when you felt comfortable enough. Then one month it would say, okay, you read one verse, you read one section, and when you felt confident enough, you would lead it. So you would read the first line and the group would read the second line back. So you became a little bit, you kind of forced yourself out of that comfort zone and you became more comfortable with reading Gurbani. And the third thing that I did was every day I would go to work and I would, before opening my emails, I used to sit in front of a computer all day, so I would sit down and get my coffee, sitting on my computer desk. Before opening my emails, I would open the Hukamnama of the day. I would go to the Sikhnet website, I would go to the sgpc.net website, and I would just read the Hukamnama from Darbar Sahib, from the Golden Temple in Amritsar, and I would try to get practice of reading the words of Gurbani. I would try and get familiar with how to read those words, and it's usually quite a short passage. Then I would read the English translations and try and do word mapping. I would look at what is this word in Gurbani and what is the English word that maps closely to it. So that way I was building a word map in my head. And it was a very simple thing to do. Before I start my work emails, I would just quickly, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the very max every day, I would do this word mapping exercise so I get to understand the meaning of what the Guru is saying, read the English, get practice of reading the Gurbani. Then I would also map what word means what word in English. And that's a very good way to get up to speed with your vocabulary as well. So I would suggest that. Try and read Gurbani with listening to it at the same time. Try and get into a practice of listening to the same Banis regularly and pronouncing them at the same time. And then also doing this word mapping where you're trying to map the explanation, the translations to the original words as well. So I hope that helps with the questions around translation.